EGM Network.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Bill Crafton. Once again, we're doing podcast number 9. And I guess our goal here is to identify how billionaires avoid paying taxes. Honest to God, they really do. A lot of them. And remember, we're always sponsored by Sir Paladin LLC. We sell Florida tax certificates on a third-party basis. In the event that you were to buy some, we don't guarantee anything. Buyer beware is our motto. And I have a bigger sign here with Evergreen Media. Jesse, yeah, see that?
Yeah.
These guys are absolutely fabulous. Let me tell you, this guy, Jesse, you can't find a nice person more technical to work with than Jesse James, I call him, you know?
Thanks, Bill.
He's like a gunslinger type guy, you know?
Hey, all right.
Now, historically, podcast number 9, we have a Boston Red Sox number that goes along with that. And his final at bat was in 1960. Jesse, who was he?
Yes, Ted Williams.
Oh, my God, you got one right. You're doing all right, Jesse.
That's the one I got. Yeah, that's right.
Let's see his last at bat, Jesse, if we can.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
There's a drive to deep right center. This may be gone. Fred way back there watching. Home run. Ted Williams.
He hits a home run.
Well, if you had written it that way, nobody would believe it, so I even tried. The 521st of his Major League career.
Hitting the home run was perfect. It was a perfect way to say it, to just say goodbye.
You know, Ted Williams had a lot of integrity. That's all I can say. You know, didn't take drugs, didn't take growth hormones. You know, wasn't hitting a juiced-up baseball. 44 years of age. That was his last swing at the bat in the major leagues. He hit 29 home runs that year. And quite frankly, when he hit that home run, that's like almost a 400-foot shot to that bullpen out in center field. Lifetime, he hit 521. Now, man, that ain't so great, right? But he served in the Korea War in the military for 5 years in his prime. Had he got 40 home runs, 42, 43 home runs in his prime, which is very likely he could have if he didn't get hurt, he would have broke Babe Ruth's record. That's the kind of hit he was. He was like just unbelievable. You know, so my opinion, greatest hitter of all time, swinging the bat. So. And basically, in Korea, he flew 39 combat missions. Now, some guys had trouble with their foot and they couldn't go into service, but that was Ted Williams flying 39 combat missions. And he got shot down. They told him, bail out, but he had long legs. If he ejected, he felt he was going to bust his kneecaps wide open and ruin his rest of his life in baseball. So he belly landed the plane so he could continue playing baseball. All right. A lot of combat experience. Basically, Ted Williams, when I was growing up and I was watching John Wayne, Ted Williams was my John Wayne. Okay. The life he led. That's what John Wayne portrayed in the movies. So just a real great guy. And one last comment from my Yankee friends. There's another number 9 out there that I feel really didn't get treated well by the Yankees. Roger Maris, first one to break Babe Ruth's record of 61 home runs. Did it without drugs or homos or anything. Real legitimate, challenge. Him and Mick, right? Everybody loved Mick, number 7, but nobody seemed to like Roger. Roger never made the Hall of Fame, and that's a real disservice to Roger Maris. And I'm kind of ashamed of all my Yankee fans for that. So. Anyway, moving on, we look for facts, we try to report it. Key thing here, right? I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. I classify myself as an American, okay? So I can look at a Republican Party, I can look at a Democratic Party, and I can be very, very critical. And that's what I am. So just understand, not a Dem, not a Rep, just basically somebody that's looking for good government out of the United States government. And one of the most inspiring presidents I had and things that he said was Ronald Reagan.
I've spoken of a shining city all my political life, but I don't know if I ever quite communicated what I saw when I said it. But in my mind, it was a tall, proud city built on rocks stronger than oceans, windswept, God-blessed, and teeming with people of all kinds living in harmony and peace. A city with free ports that hummed with commerce and creativity. And if there had to be city walls, the walls had doors, and the doors were open to anyone with the will and the heart to get here. That's how I saw it and see it still.
He says it all. I agree with him. Yeah, that's the kind of country I want. Unfortunately, that was back in 1980. Here we are in 2026, and it doesn't seem like it's the same country anymore. And then moving on, I keep my eye on the environment, and I really determined that there's a lot of global warming in the environment that tends to get ignored. Jess, you want to explain this?
Yeah. So this is a map starting at 1880. It moves through the timeline up till modern day of the temperature that we've recorded of the globe. And you can see it starts off blue, cold, and then it's gradually warming and warming and warming. We get to 1970s, and it's almost all yellowish and reddish. And today it's almost all red. It's definitely warmed.
Yep.
As you can see by that map.
You live in Florida where those ice caps melt. If you live on the coast, you're going to be underwater. So pay attention, folks. It's real. They're not making it up. And if you're a radio listener, check out podcasts here. You could visually see this when people tell you climate change. Oh, what's the big deal with climate change? I'm telling you, it's global warming. And there's a big deal between the difference between climate change and global warmings. Okay. We're going to show you how do billionaires avoid paying taxes. So if you want to show that up, that would be great.
There we go.
Hey, how do you billionaires avoid paying taxes? Oh, that's easy. I just borrow money. But you're rich. Why would you need a loan? Oh, I don't need it. I don't take a big salary, though. I get stock options and I own parts of companies. Banks love that as collateral and give me cheap loans. But don't you pay taxes on those shares? Only if I sell, which I don't. And the loan interest? Tax write-off. Okay, but what about when that loan comes due? Oh, I just take another loan. And banks are cool with that? Well, they'd rather charge me interest than risk loaning to somebody like you. So you dodge taxes until you die? Oh, that's even better. When I die, my assets get a stepped up in basis. My heirs inherit them at today's value. No capital gains taxes. So no taxes on those assets ever? Bingo. That's the game. Buy, borrow, die.
You got that figured out, don't they? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's how that's how it really works,
It's incredible.
And who the leader in that is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
We just had the what do you say that? What was that rocket they launched up?
Oh, the Artemis 2.
Artemis,
yeah.
Artemis 2. They just shot those guys up to run away to the moon, and that's really great. Those folks going to the moon. I don't know why we're spending all that money sending them around the moon, but yeah, I'm sure there's a good reason, which I wouldn't think there is, based on our current $40 trillion worth of debt in the country. Stepped up basis. In case anybody doesn't know what that means, is if I owned a stock, it was worth $1,000 a share, and I had bought it for $1, and I died, and it passed over to my family, that $1,000 stock would be revalued. At $1,000. So the upside between $1 and $1,000, there'd be zero taxes paid. Not a bad deal, But when these guys got $29 million, 29 million shares of stock, it adds up as like a lot of money, So, we're gonna go to Congress and take a look at a lady who was trying to figure out this FICA stuff.
Is it right that those making under $184,500, their effective payroll tax rate is roughly 12.4%?
That's right. The statutory rate is 6.2%, but consensus view is that the employee pays, basically the employer cost is passed on to the employee, and so the employee basically faces a rate of 12.4%.
For anybody earning $104,500. What is the effective payroll tax for someone making $1 million a year?
So they would pay the 12.4% on that first $185,000 roughly, and then would not pay additional tax on labor income above that amount, and so that math would work out to about 2.2%.
Okay, so 12.4% for someone under 184.5. A millionaire would be about 2.2. What if you're a billionaire like Trump or Musk? Your Social Security tax would be effectively, on my understanding,
Very, very much smaller.
0.0002.
Yes.
That just doesn't make sense to me. And when the richest people in the country have the smallest effective tax rate, that does not seem to me like a very fair system, especially when we are now 6 years away from retired workers facing this 24% cut in their Social Security benefits.
Hey, that says it all. You know, the billionaires have taken over the country. They don't really participate like we participate. We pay our taxes all the time. We pay FICA all the time. And they get to skate. They get a free ride. We had a list of billionaires, I thought, Jesse. Did we not?
Yeah. I'll show you that list right here. There's
Okay. How many on that list? There's like about 345 American billionaires, and that came out of the top 500 billionaires in the world from Bloomberg. I cut it down just to show you American billionaires, and it's like $6 trillion worth of American billionaires as of October of this past year, 2025. If we take a closer look at the first page, if that's possible, we can see popular names, Elon Musk, Larry Page. He was one of those guys with the telephones, Jeff Bezos, Jeff, he's the Amazon guy, right?
Yeah.
And plus he's doing rocket ships too now, right?
Right.
We got Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison wants to take over the media. He wants to have his son acquire CNN. He owns CBS. He's in TikTok with Michael Dell. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys are just taking everything over, right?
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, $151 billion, right?
Yeah.
Big deal. Steve Ballmer, one of those telephone guys again, $170 billion, right? Mark Zuckerberg, $236 billion. I mean, these guys got a lot of dough, if you know what I mean. That's not even their companies. That's just them. It's unbelievable, all the stock they own. And, the stock they own it at a cheap price, and they can do anything you want with it. And that's basically it. Jess, did you want to take a break for radio?
Yeah, it's a good time to take a radio break.
Let's take a radio break.
We'll be right back.
They're coming! The Blue Angels will roar over the skies of Vero at the Vero Beach Air Show, presented by Piper Aircraft, Inc. See, hear, and feel the power of the Blue Angels, the MiG-17, and the McCart Jet Motorsports Home Wrecker Jet Truck, Saturday and Sunday. Experience the dazzling fireworks extravaganza on Friday night, the Vero Beach Air Show, May 15th, 16th, and 17th, presented by Piper Aircraft, Inc. Get tickets online at VeroAirshow.com.
Welcome to 9 to 5, the musical, where the coffee's strong and the women are stronger. And their boss, Mr. Hart, well, he's a little high-strung, shall we say. Based on the smash hit movie 9 to 5, the musical is a hilarious story of female friendship and delightful revenge. Come meet the whole gang. 9 to 5 starts April 16th at the beautiful Riverside Theater in Vero Beach. Get your best tickets now at the box office or riversidetheater.com.
Hey, I forgot to tell you folks, we're on the radio now. Jesse, you're a miracle worker. You got me just came on the radio. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, we got you on the radio, Bill.
Hey, 8 weeks ago, I had no idea what I'm doing. Next thing I know, I'm a radio celebrity here.
There you go. YouTube and the radio. You're all over. Yeah, we're on 107.9 FM.
What about the
Saturdays at 2 p.m., and that's 1370 a.m.
Say that again. I missed that.
It's 107.9 FM. 1370 a.m. here on the Treasure Coast.
And that what time I am?
Saturday at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Don't forget that, folks, because you should listen in. If you're listening in, you should go to the podcast, because you've got a lot of good stuff to show you on the podcast, too. So this is like a give and take situation.
There you go. Follow us on YouTube at Wake Up America with Bill Crafton.
All right, here we go. Hey, listen, we have something coming up with Elon Musk. He paid a lot of taxes here on this transaction he had, and I think it's worth noting.
All right, the Elon Musk piece here. Yeah, here we go. Whoop, not that one.
Not that one. That's me.
96
Oh, my fault.
They've approved
Let's
the
start that over.
plan to pay him 96 million shares. As part of that, he would not be allowed to sell the shares, however, for another 5 years. So even though he'd be paid those shares today, he can't sell those shares for the next 5 years. He can pledge those shares so that he can effectively take out loans to pay for the taxes on the vesting of those shares.
Okay. Hey, there you go, right? 96 million shares, you know. The stock is worth $300, and I think the option price he got was $6.25. So he can borrow an awful lot of money. That effectively worth $30 billion. He had a transaction in 2021, and he had to pay $11 billion in taxes. Imagine paying $11 billion. But it turned out to be he sold stock. He had options, and he had to exercise the options. And an option is a contract. One option is 100 shares, and he had to exercise the option. And basically, it raised what did I get? $25 billion. He ended up with $25 billion in cash, and $11 billion had to be paid in taxes, and $14 billion cash gain in his pocket. So let me say that again. The transaction generated $25 billion of cash because it was an option. And these guys haven't figured that out one yet. They still have to pay taxes on the option execution. $11 billion went to the government, and he got to keep $14 billion in cash. Not a bad deal. You know, he's doing pretty good. He's shooting rockets up now, and he's going to start a company. He's going to go public, and he's got low value in there, and he's going to be doing the same thing with that company. So he's a pretty smart guy. And then just so you know, in 2015 and 2017, he paid less than $70,000 in taxes. In 2018, he paid $0 in taxes. During a period between 2014 and 2018, his wealth grew by $14 billion. And, you know, he's pretty smart. He doesn't take cash salary because, you know, if he paid cash salary, he'd have to pay FICA. And he's not paying FICA if he doesn't have to do that, or Medicare, and kicking into those game. And unrealized gains, all that stock he holds, he pays no taxes on it. And he lives on borrowing money from big banks. And the beat goes on. And we are 6 years away from a 24% cut in Social Security benefits. Need to have additional sources of funding for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And it's got to come from the billionaires because, you know, the working people just can't afford to pay anymore. We're living on the edge, okay? In addition to individual billionaires, the United States has 1,873 billionaire firms in the country, right? These are, if they were to sell all their stock on the same day, that's they're all billionaires, and they'll collect all billions of dollars. And that's it for that. I want to run into some closing remarks now, if I can.
All right.
And we got to start off with Bernie. Bernie Sanders. Now, listen to Bernie. I know this is Bernie Sanders territory, but, you know, forget it's Bernie saying it. Pretend it was like President Trump saying this, and you might embrace it if it was President Trump saying it. Go ahead, Jesse.
People understand that the political system in this country is largely corrupt, both parties. Why is that? You know the answer. The answer is that you have billionaires in both political parties determine what legislation gets to the floor and who is the candidate. Right now, let me give you both examples. You're in the Republican Party, and you say, you know what? I don't like this Trump idea of giving massive tax breaks to the rich and cutting Medicaid and education. You get up and say that. What happens to you? The next day, Elon Musk says, I got unlimited amounts of money. We're going to run a candidate in a primary against you. Democratic Party side, what happens if somebody says, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to fund Netanyahu's war machine, which is creating starvation for children in Gaza. I'm going to vote against that. Next day, AIPAC is going to be running against you. We have a corrupt campaign finance system. Billionaires in both political parties are calling the tunes. The American people understand that.
Okay, Bernie's like me, unfortunately. Not that I'm like Bernie, but Bernie's an independent, another non-party affiliate, as they call it these days, right? He happened to run for 2016 for president. He should have got the nomination, except Democratic Party, the Democrats, party politics beat him. It wasn't that the people wouldn't have voted for him. He probably would have won, basically, because he was going up in an environment where we're looking for a change. And we had Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
God forbid. I mean, these party people are crazy. We got to put people in Washington basically in tune to what the people in America need. Besides billionaires, the billionaires got everything covered. So, primary elections, right? A closed primary election is a non-party affiliate like myself. If I'm a registered non-party, I can't vote in a primary in Florida. And I think that's wrong. Yeah. Anybody that's a registered voter should be able to vote. Walk in and say, hey, I want to vote for a Democrat. I want to vote for a Republican. I want this ballot. Please give me the ballot. You check the person you want to vote for, and you move on. I mean, what could be fairer than that? Oops. Party politics. Fear isn't in the game. Hey, do we have anything about corruption coming up with Bernie? Oh, we deleted Marjorie Taylor. Where's Marjorie? What's Marjorie have to say about this?
Yeah.
Trump is reportedly calling his MAGA cronies because they say that you're slamming Republicans too much. Well, you're taking my job. You're slamming Republicans a lot on topics like health care, the Epstein files. We know he's still your favorite president. I mean, Truman is mine. I dated him. But
I did not date Donald Trump, but I do love him.
You do love him, yeah.
Yes, I do.
All right, well, whatever. So when was the last time you spoke to him? And what's with the tension between the two of you? You may love him, but he may not love you back right now.
Well, that's okay. I mean, Donald Trump, he usually yells at everybody, so we're all used to it. But he's the president of the United States, and here's something you all may not know about me. I think a lot of people on the left are learning that when I ran for Congress in 2020, I ran criticizing Republicans and Democrats equally, because I come from a working class family, ran a construction company for over 20 years, and I feel like the government has failed all of us. And it purely disgusts me. It really does. And I represent a district that is rural, manufacturing district, blue-collar workers, and people have been crushed by decades of failure in Washington, D.C. And so I have no problem pointing fingers at everyone. And the worst thing that I just can't get over is we're not working right now. And I put that criticism directly on the Speaker of the House. And we should be at work. All the people sitting in this audience, they go to work every day.
Hey, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bernie Sanders, if you didn't know who we're talking, you wouldn't believe those two people have the same view of everything that's going on in Washington. Right. Now, you can't get any farther left and you can't get any farther right than either of those folks. Hey, this has been a great broadcast, Jesse. I really appreciate you getting me on the radio. And all you radio fans, look at my podcast. We got you see the visuals.
Absolutely, absolutely. Follow us on YouTube. Wake Up America with Bill Crafton on YouTube. I want to remind everyone, please forward this podcast to every contact you have. The midterm elections coming up are critical to the survival of our country. The podcast should be treated as a chain letter. The messages in the podcast need to be viewed by millions of eyeballs. So let's get the ball rolling to restore dignity and respect in our country. Also tell people that we're on the radio now on Saturdays at 2 p.m. on 107.9 FM, 1370 AM, The Patriot. And you can always email the show. Email is wakeupamericawithbill@gmail.com. And again, follow us on YouTube at Wake Up America with Bill Crafton.
And once again, if you're ever thinking of doing a podcast, no matter where you are, I think Jesse can help you out because he helps me out an awful lot. Let me get this card squared away here for the podcast people here. Where am I? Here, get me on the camera, Justin. There we go. Evergreen Media. Can't do any better than those guys. And once again, thank you so much. Next week, I'm going to tell you about me. Okay, so who's this strange guy in Vero Beach, 78 years of age, got a podcast? What the hell's going on with that? Thanks again, folks. Bye-bye.